So Shelley, you mentioned that you can start by changing body responses to stress or by changing thinking patterns in order to manage stress. Could we talk more about the changing of thinking patterns?
Sure. As a veteran support specialist, you hear about problems that people are having all day long, and you're trying to help. We're all wired to hold on to negative information, and you hear a lot of it every day in the course of your work. And we are all wired to remember those times where things don't work out like we hope they will. Maybe we couldn't help someone, or things didn't go as we planned. And we often tend to skip over the times when things went well and we really made a big difference. This is called a negativity bias. And this negativity bias is really important so that we learn new ways of doing things that are more effective. However, to be at your best, it's important to also remember the positives.
Okay.
And there's been extensive research done on the power of positive psychology. This was developed initially by Dr. Marty Seligman, and now is carried on with great research done by Dr. Barbara Fredrickson at the University of North Carolina at the Positive Emotions and Psychology Lab. And she does work on the power of positive thinking and being able to connect to positive emotions. And what she's found is positive emotions not only help us recover faster from stressful situations, but they also help our brain to be more creative and flexible and able to think of more than one right answer to the problem that we're presented with. People who develop this type of balance of positive to negative emotions in the ratio of 3 positives to 1 negative are more likely to be part of successful business teams, to have longer marriages, and to recover more quickly from depression.
Now, is there a way that we can change our thinking patterns to do more of this positive stuff?
Yes, there is. And one activity, a tool that Dr. Seligman created to help cultivate positive emotions is called 3 Good Things. In this strategy, you simply take the time every day for 2 weeks to think about 3 good things that happened to you that day. And, this is really important, your role in them.
Okay.
Let's do this right now. Take a minute right now. Maybe take out a piece of paper if you like and jot down 3 good things that happened to you and your role in them. Or you can just think about them in your own mind. And let's just pause for a moment and do that.
What if one of my 3 good things is I didn't yell at work today? Is that an example of one?
That is an example, and it's more helpful, if you can, to frame it in the positive.
Okay.
Of, I kept my calm, I kept my cool at work all day.
Okay.
There's a difference in how our brain receives that information.
Okay.
Same experience, just different language for it.
Okay, great.
Were you able to come up with 3 things that you can imagine and that were good that you took part in over this last day?
I did, but like you're saying, I need to focus on framing them in a way that is positive and that relates to me.
Yeah. It's a challenge
Right.
for most of us. And when you did take the time and maybe even did some of that editing, how it related to you putting that same experience in the positive, what did you notice from taking the time to really bring 3 good things to mind and maybe even doing some of that editing and reframing, putting it in the positive language, making sure to include your role in it?
I think it helped me shift from thinking of my workday as a list of problems to thinking of my workday as having solutions.
Yeah, it's both. And we so often forget that. We remember really the challenges that we need to address and forget that many times we are offering solutions. We are making a real difference in the work that we do.
I think some people, let's say they do 10 things that day at work and 8 of them go right, we have a tendency to focus on those 2 that didn't.
So true. And it's just actually more accurate to remember it all.
Right.
We are at our best when we remember both the two things went wrong and adjustments that we might make to make it go better next time when we face that same situation.
Right.
And the 8 things that went really well. Right. That gives us the ability to come back the next day and bring our skills from the 8 things that went really well, as well as some of the adjustments that we want to make from the 2 things that went not as well.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the 3 good things practice and how it works?
When this was studied, doing the 3 good things practice every day for 2 weeks, it was just as powerful for improving people's mood as taking Prozac.
Wow.
For 2 weeks.
That's an antidepressant medicine.
That's right. That's right. So why is it, you asked how this is making a difference? Our brain is like a muscle. We get more of what we practice. If you only remember and go over and over again the negative situations, you actually strengthen and become more sensitive and attuned to those situations because you've strengthened the connection of the nerve cells in your brain that hold those memories and your responses to the negative situations.
You're kind of reinforcing that pathway.
Absolutely.
Okay.
If you also actively recall the positive situations and emotions, once you're doing the same thing, you're increasing your nerve cell connections to not only learn from regret, but also to increase your feelings of contentment with good work done, inspiration from the work of a veteran or a colleague, joy with a moment of connection made at work and at home. You change your brain to be more wired for peace and for joy.
That sounds awesome. I'm going to try that with my family.
It can make a difference both at work and at home.
Right, right. Now, what else can we do to manage stress when there's only a few seconds or maybe just a minute before we've got to get into the next thing?
Let's try one more way to relax the body that does just take a few seconds.
Okay.
And this is focusing on the breath, using it to calm the body and the brain. Where do you feel your breath most strongly in your body when you are in a more stressed state?
Kind of up here.
Yeah, for most of us that's true, really high either in our nose or at the top of our chest. And usually we're breathing kind of more shallowly and faster.
Right.
The opposite, a pattern of breathing that actually signals to the body that you're relaxed, is to focus the movement of the breath much lower in the body, in and out of the belly. And this is called abdominal breathing.
Okay.
And taking just 3 abdominal breaths in and out signals to our body that we are relaxed. So considering an experiment for yourself, that one breath in and out of the belly before answering a question, picking up the phone, pressing send on that email, can help give you a chance to pause, to feel more relaxed, and once again choose that response that's actually the most helpful one in a stressful situation instead of a knee-jerk reaction.
Thank you so much, Shelley, for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.